Welcome to Mastering CS Candy Leader Insights, the podcast where we dive into the world of customer success with industry leaders. I'm your host, Irina Chismash, and today I'm joined by Andrea Zen, Head of Customer Success at Fairly Made, a technology platform supporting supply chain traceability in fashion. Andrea, I'm really happy to have you here. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
You didn't start in SaaS. You started in fashion, buying, merchandising, marketplace transformation. Looking back, what parts of that world shaped how you think about customers today?
I love this question. Actually, my previous experiences made me realize how important it is to be client-centric. It's not depending on where you're working in the company. You can be in a tech team, you can be part of the marketing team, you can be part of the accounting team, actually. What's super important is to always think about your client. The consequences of your actions are going to shape how your clients are seeing your business. For example, when I was working at 24s.com, so a e-commerce pure player created by LVMH, we had this philosophy of being client first all the time. So this has shaped the way I'm seeing my daily life, daily job, I would say. And thus, at Made, what we want to create is like a customer-centric standards. So beyond the technology, beyond the value that we are delivering tech-wise, we want also clients to remember Fairly Made, to raise awareness within the industry through this client-centric eye and through the service that we are delivering.
I'm curious, what made you move from the luxury marketplace world into customer success and tech?
I think it's quite not that far from what I was doing actually, but it's so before I was more into business discussion with my clients. So
Mhm.
actually at 24s.com, I was in the purchasing team. So I was a client, but anyway, that's quite like the same discussion that you can have. And we were trying to create an e-commerce website, which is quite tech in a way. And I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed working with tech people, trying to, I think, recreate a human luxury experience through a website. And that came also through the product selection that we were selling. However, what I needed when I left 24hours.com after 3 years, I needed to have different discussion with the same people. So I was super lucky to find 30 Made as we kind of have like luxury clients. We have also fashion clients, we have mass market clients, but overall that was like the same people, but with different level of discussion, more aligned with what I was looking for in terms of value.
Today, as head of CS at Fairly Made, what does your world look like? What kind of customers do you serve and what makes them complex?
So we have really different segments within our portfolio, which makes our life super exciting. We've started with luxury client because Fairly Made was part of an LVMH startup incubator. So basically, we've built the business that way, but now we have also more premium clients, mass market clients, and those have very different problems, I would say. What's super complex with the fashion industry is this industry is super creative. They are creating products, they are creating DNA, they are creating, I would say, collection every 3 to 4 months. So this is a creative job. The impact is that the data is creative as well. When I say that the data is creative, it means that it can be quite messy sometimes. It's quite hard for of the people in the industry to exactly know what to expect when they are like uploading data to Fairly Made. And when we are talking about ESG challenges, it's always seen as something super virtuous, like we are talking about green tech, we are talking about like eco design, etc. But behind that, you have a huge data issue, and that is what is complex with the industry. I think that the other thing that is complex as well is that the people we are discussing with, most of them, they are not CSR people within their company. They are people working at the production, they are people working at the development, the quality. So they have a huge job desk. They have huge challenges regarding costs, delivery, quality, etc. And now they need to also implement to their job desk CSR topics, which is why Fairly Made exists, is to make their daily life easier and to help them face those new challenges. They are super important standards that we are creating. However, we help them manage this to-do list that is growing and growing. And that's the same for suppliers, actually.
What does success mean in your context? Adoption, compliance, impact, renewals, maybe totally something else. What's important? What's the North Star metric that you guys are monitoring in customer success?
We are monitoring quite like the basics of KPIs in customer success, which would be renewal. And the other way of saying this is we try to retain client as much as possible, which means that we are really looking at the churn rate of the company. We are also looking at growing ARR because it means that then our clients are expanding their projects with Fairly Made. They are purchasing new modules. They are increasing the volume of products that they want to trace and analyze with Fairly Made, etc., etc. So we are looking at the quite like even like the net recurring revenue is one of the new KPI that we are implementing this year, and we are trying to make our team get more mature about those KPIs. But so we are looking at basic ones. But if you tell a story, I think that a successful customer journey would be someone that subscribe to Fairly Made with few targets. So basically, we are a regulatory tool, part of. So they would subscribe to Fairly Made for the first step of regulation. And then year on year, you are seeing them growing in maturity and understanding that this one is done. Okay, I get how to solve that problem. So I want to move to the next one. I want to move to the next one, etc. So it can be shown through those metrics that I've mentioned, I would say theoretically. But then when you discuss with them, what's sometimes happening is a client that is like getting a bit annoyed by something that they weren't annoyed about the year prior to this year. You know what I mean? For example, my team sometimes they are coming to me and they are saying, okay, yeah, so we worked so hard with this client this year. We solved this problem, but now they are annoyed because of this new problem. And I'm like, this is a great news, actually. It means that we made them grow in maturity and we've showed them new challenges and we are going to help them solve those challenges, and each year is going to be different.
You've worked in marketplace economics, where margins, performance, and portfolio optimizations are everything. How does that influence how you manage a CS portfolio today? Also correlating with, okay, how you help your customers basically grow and how growing basically exposes new challenges that you guys are basically overcoming together.
I think it was part of what was the most interesting part of working at LVMH is that it's super numerical, I would say. Everything is a number and everything is margin, everything is growth, everything is a turnover, etc. So at first, when you are young, it's quite, whoa, what's happening to me? Like it's just a new language. Then when you change position, and I was really new when I arrived at Fairly I didn't know anything about customer success. So you need also to ramp up. Today, what we are looking at, and we're trying to be super specific, looking at the portfolio, is really like knowing by heart the revenue that a client is generating, but also the time we spend on this client, the time the team spent on the client in general. And then we try and see what is the margin on the specific client. It doesn't mean that maybe we will stop working and helping and supporting the clients. We are seeing this number. It just means that we need to try those scenarios. For example, we have some clients that are part of the lowest range of the ARR. What should we do with them? What do they need? Do they need actually that much support? Maybe they need more autonomy. Maybe they need more documentation. Maybe they need a help center. And when you are really like diving into that, it feels that you are seeing this really like coldly, but actually this is where you have the best conclusions and you can help the business change, and also you can still support the client but differently. And speaking about margins, so we had this very interesting vision now at Fairly Made about the clients, the margin, the time that we spent, etc. What I said, and we are managing to create customer journeys now, depending on the maturity of the client and depending also on the ARR that they are generating. So I won't mention any name, of course, because what we're trying to do, what I'm always saying during meetings is we can reproduce the human experience that we are delivering to them, but low touch with the technology, with something different. But we can recreate this exact feeling of, okay, Fairly Made is supporting me, Fairly Made is making me grow, Fairly Made is here when I need, but maybe it's not going to be a people, maybe it's going to be technology. So this is clearly what I think my previous experience really helped me about that. Figures is it's quite tough because it's really you need to be really precise and you have many errors that you can generate. But when you are really working toward precision, then you can really create new experiences for your clients and for your team.
I want to talk about data because you mentioned that data is important, and to be honest, I wouldn't have expected this because you mentioned for me, creativity, fashion doesn't work hand in hand with data. But know that you've led data conformity and back office transformation projects before. So I want to ask you, how important is data integrity in customer success, and where do you see teams getting it wrong? Where what why is it so hard? At least in your industry, in your vertical, what's
Mm,
the hard part?
I think that there are two different things here. First, what I maybe you're mentioning is how customer success team are handling data and data, I would say continuity within the pipe. It's super, I think, basic to a lot of company and SaaS companies. So you have salespeople signing a contract and they have this huge discussion prior to the signature of the contract with many data within those discussions. And then they are handling the client to the existing business team. Here, this is where you are losing, in my opinion, a lot of data. And we are trying to create those playbooks within our CRM with a lot of questions, but you shouldn't be too exhaustive because then you are losing people within the teams. But we are trying to make sure that if by any chance within the sales and the account managers, the CSM teams, you are not able to meet in person, everybody is at the same level of information. So it's really like super simple questionnaires. But what we miss sometimes, I think, and it's general to many other people I'm talking with, is to create this feedback loop between sales and CSM and account managers about contracts, but not specifically, but generally speaking. For example, this contract was super well signed because of this. Contractually, this was okay, etc. But maybe on the other way around, so this wasn't a good signature because it's not a fit regarding the product, etc. To align both teams on what is like the ICP, so what is like the best client. So this is the first part of how much data is important for our teams. The conclusion is that the more you know, the farther you are from the I feel that. I hear a lot people in my team and myself included when I'm still managing one key account within the company. And sometimes I'm discussing with my managers and I'm like, yeah, I feel that they need that. But the feeling is amazing, but it can be a bias. It can be maybe you want them to think that they need that, but it's not based on anything. So we are trying then to coach people toward, and myself included, again, to say, okay, I feel, but what is on what is based your feeling? Do you have data? Do you have maybe CRM information? Do you have other tools within the company that are like bringing you to this conclusion? So this is super interesting also as a manager to me to see people growing and then starting to show me really super clear factual explanation of why we should upsell or why maybe it's going to be a churn. But we need to know why. It's not, yeah, I have this bad feeling or I have this good feeling. In the industry, in the fashion and luxury industry, for I think many years, people were creating clauses. They were creating items. So you have many teams involved in the creation of a product. And they weren't really questioning how data was reflecting the real product. When you really look into it, a bag is skeleton of many data. And those data are in a quite like a pipeline of information system. So now teams, luxury, fashion, etc. teams, they are facing the need to collect those data for solution like Fairly Made to collect data from their suppliers and from the suppliers, etc. So when they are trying to push data to Fairly Made, they realize that there are many mistakes, there are many inconsistencies, I would say, and many clients working with us saying at some point, wow, thanks to Fairly Made, we even reorganized some teams internally because they weren't working well together, and now it makes more sense. So this is also our job, customer success at Fairly Made. It's not only helping our client use the platform, it's really like pushing them toward change. So we talk about a lot about change management internally, how to implement change within our clients, how to identify those who won't want to change at some point, the detractors versus the promoters, etc. And it's our mission. We are a mission-driven company, so we really are invested toward this objective.
Thinking about how this role might be different, you fairly made operate in a sustainability and traceability, which is highly regulated and politically sensitive. How does that change the role of the customer success compared to a standard SaaS environment, if it does?
I think I see what you have in mind. The thing is that we are quite like traceability and impact measurement solution today on the market. We are super young. We are young companies and it's a new market. So yes, it's highly regulated. So
Mhm.
what is expected from our clients is quite framed. So first thing we need to be super close to the reality of those regulations. For example, we have someone at Fairly Made in working groups at the French government, at the European Commission, always updating Fairly Made, updating the company on what is going to be expected from our clients in terms of regulation. And at the same time, as customer success, we need to have huge knowledge about those regulations, about technicality of the field, and we need to be quite advocates toward those regulations. So sometimes we will have people, because of many reasons that I highly respect, they feel that it's a bit like too much for them. It's like they have a full-time job, they have teams to make function, they have other targets that are more related again to quality, pricing, etc. And we are here, quite like young people saying, hey, now you have new objectives, you have those regulation, etc. So you need to keep the pace working. You need to make them see the vision of why we are doing this. So it's not only like you need to retain churn because you need to retain churn, it's you need to make them convinced that it makes sense what we are doing, like what the industry is doing, and also compared to many other solutions on the market. So yeah, it's quite like you need to really believe in what you do when you are a CS at Fairly.
What's been one of the toughest scaling challenges you've faced in CS so far?
Yeah, I think it's the well, I don't want to say that it's only competition, but what I mean when I'm talking about competition is that so this market is so new. And so when the market is new, you have so many people entering the market trying to take shares. Sometimes it can create misleading discussion with our clients. So we the company was built based on regulation and based on really, I would say, a scientific approach. The first people that we hired at Fairly were engineers. So they are really like textile engineers. They are experts on the field, and those people are not like easy to find. Then we opened the company toward other experts, but so we want to think that we are super serious about what we do. It's not perfect, but it's really based on scientific things that we read and then we interpret and then we inject in the product. Sometimes you have people on the market that are entering the field really like maybe less expensive than we are, adding some AI in their marketing and sales pitch. And then our clients are having some doubt, is Fairly Made the right option? Maybe I could have the same quality with half the price because this solution said AI within the sales pitch. We are not the best on the market. We are one of the best on the market, but we are not the best number one on the market. But honestly, the hardest discussion with the clients are those one. How do you convince a client that you can't have the same quality with half the price, half the number of people on the account, etc., etc. Sometimes it can be frustrating for the team. They're like, yes, we are expensive, but also because many people are working on the account and we have this expertise, etc., etc. So you need to help them take a step back. And when you are buying something, of course, when it's half the price and that you see AI, you want to go there. So then you just need to stay calm and say, okay, what are like the things that we do best compared to these competitors? Let and help the client take the right decision, the one you believe is the right one, but in more rational way, like without emotion. We just like, okay, the facts are here, take the decision, but generally speaking, it can work.
If customer success were a fashion collection, what season would your team be in right now? Launch, runaway, restructuring, reinvention, and why? How
Mm.
is your team?
I think, if I'm being honest, we still are in the development phase of creating a garment. 3 years ago, we were two people, a bit more engineers that were like working face to face with the client, but we were two people only on what is like what we call customer success. The year after, it changed like the conception of the customer success within the company. We start hiring people. Last year, the rules change again. So we are every year we are changing. And I think it's because, and we were seeing like off the podcast, but so it's because customer success is a theory, and then you need to adapt this theory to the reality of the business. And as Fairly Made is changing so fast, we are changing every year. We are releasing new features, new big features within the product. Because of that, our team is going to change anyway every year, as long as the company is going to change. So it's a continuous work in progress, which is super exciting when you are discussing about it, but you need to be cautious about the team that are involved within this continuous work in progress, because you need to explain to them why we are changing, why the job desk are changing, why we are like we were customer success, now we are maybe account managers, and maybe you are client facing people, maybe you are an implementation manager. So you need to explain why, give them the vision of why you are doing this and why it is so good for the business. We are supporting the business in a way.
Andrea, last question. For someone stepping into CS from a non-traditional background like yours, what's one mindset they should develop early on?
Oh, I think it's when I arrived at Fairly Made, again, if I'm being super honest, I had no clue about what I was talking about, because so I was more in buying departments, merchandising departments. I knew I had some client relationship skills, B2B relationship skills, but customer success per se, I just had some online course, 4-week online course before my hiring process with Charlie Made, and I was like, okay, let's go. So I think what was helpful is always to stay super curious about what people were talking about me, and always trying to think about, okay, people are talking about ARR, they are talking about churn, they are talking about renewals. It doesn't mean anything to me now, but I know that I can compare what I was doing, and it means ARR means revenue. Renewals mean my client is staying in the company. Means my client is leaving. So always trying to stay like grounded to the reality of the business. It's useful because the SaaS business model is expecting us to have this language and to share those KPIs even with investors, etc. So you need to learn and you need to know those those verbatims, but at the same time you need to stay grounded. And the spirit of a customer success is to learn how to say yes and no at the same time. So you never say no to a client, but it's super dangerous to always say yes. So you need to always take a step back when you have a client that is having a weird request, something that is out of contract, something that is out of process. It's happening all the time at Falimate because we are this new company. Everything is so new that clients are trying to shape what Falimate is going to be. So they want to always, they have new requests, always new things. So what we are trying to do with the team is to coach them toward, okay, take a step back. What is the exact request? What could be the option that you have? Then you have an escalation as well. You have an escalation process internally. So, for example, if I'm blocked, who should I contact internally to help me, and who is the decision maker, etc. But then it's to say to the client, it's not possible. However, or but I have all those options that could fit, and discuss with the client, and always let them decide and not push them ideas. So you push solutions, options, but they need to phrase that, okay, I want to do this. Otherwise, it can be hard to maintain. If you are just entering a call and you're saying, yeah, okay, I have a solution, no problem, it's going to be that, and you didn't reflect, maybe at some point it's not going to work the way you thought it would work. And then it's going to be frustrating for the client. So what we are trying to do is, okay, yes, so I have all those options. So this request is impossible to reach. However, you have all those options. Which one you want to choose? Which one looks best for you, exactly for you? And so saying yes all the times, it's not a good idea. However, when you are in a startup like Fairly Made, and now we are a scale up, so it can also be interesting to reflect on those requests, because maybe those requests are also requests that other clients can have and other segment of the market can have, and maybe you can help your company grow by advocating internally about a specific request. Yes, okay, I know this is only the client that had this request, but I'm seeing that all these segments in the market is looking like this client. So maybe if we develop this, it can be helpful for the sales if they want to sign new clients on this specific market. So it's a balance. So yeah, I think the spirit is to advocate, but also create healthy boundaries with your client, which can be hard.
Andrea, thank you for the conversation. It was great exploring how you guys approach customer success in a space where data, operations, and long term impact all intersect. And to
Thank
everyone
you.
listening, thanks for tuning in. Until
Thank
next
you.
time, stay curious, keep learning, and mastering customer success.